for you guys tonight. We have a very special guest who will be joining us, and he's somebody who I have known for 31 years now. I was 5, and he was about 8. But he is somebody who knows how to get things done. He gets things done all over our state. He gets projects done that people have talked about for decades. He got the rest stop done on the LIE. He got the Long Island Railroad third track done, which is the most important infrastructure project for our region in decades. He got the Tappan Zee Bridge built that people have talked about replacing for decades. He helped us and led us out of the recovery from Superstorm Sandy. He got a 2% property tax cap approved for us, which is working and has been working and saving Long Islanders money. He has been supportive of the creation of a research corridor on Long Island from Brookhaven National Lab into the Genome Center in Manhattan. He has supported the developments of our Ronkonkoma Hub and the Nassau Coliseum Hub. He has been a leader in protecting our environment and protecting our clean water. And he helped bring the Islanders back to Nassau County. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about one person, a great New Yorker, a great champion for Long Island, our governor, Governor Andrew M. Cuomo. So we have a special award tonight, since tonight is an awards ceremony. And Larry and I are very happy to present Governor Cuomo with this plaque as a champion of Long Island for all those things I just mentioned. Let's give the governor another big round of applause.
Thank you very much. Good evening to everyone. Oh, it's a better evening than that. What's wrong? The appetizer is no good. Good evening to everyone. There you go. First to Larry Waldman and Kevin Law. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank them for their leadership. I have known Kevin Law a very, very long time, 31 years, just about. You notice how he had to say that I was 8 and he was 5? He couldn't have said we were the same age. He had to make it a point. See, that's a little subtlety that Kevin Law brings, those little nuanced shots. Let's give him another round of applause for his subtlety and his nuance and his leadership. The LIA is doing a great, great job. You know, I'm old enough to remember when Long Island didn't really speak with one voice. You had Nassau, you had Suffolk, the line in the middle, you needed a passport to go by. And that really hurt the island, because you never came up with one cooperative plan. But the LIA has made a fantastic difference. They put the focus on where it should be. So to the LIA staff, the LIA board members, let's give them all a big round of applause. To the honorees for tonight, Bob and Jim Coughlin, Carolyn Mazzalenka, oh, that's some name, and I'm Italian, Mazenga, and Des Ryan. Let's give them a round of applause. You know, New York State, we have a number of priorities that we're focusing on because these are difficult, difficult days. And we're focusing on education, we're focusing on infrastructure, we're focusing on resiliency, which we learned the hard way after Superstorm Sandy. We're focusing on gun safety, which we learn about with increasing frequency. Again, today in our prayers are the 9 students who lost their life in Santa Fe and the 1 teacher. I'll tell you the most damning quote I heard was a young lady who was interviewed, one of the young girls from the high school, and they said, well, are you surprised that it was your school? And she said, no, because today it's everywhere. Just think about that. It's a new reality. But many issues to focus on. But the main issue that I focused on has been getting the economy going. Why? Because if the economy is running, if you're generating jobs and you're generating revenue, you can take care of everything else. Now, it sounds like common sense. But for many years, New York State was actually doing the exact opposite. We were pushing businesses away from New York. We were raising taxes every year. We were raising regulations. And there was a breaking point where people will say, you know what, I don't have to be here. I'm going to pick up and I'm going to leave. You look at a map of the United States, you see one shape, that funny shape is the state of New York. Then you have Long Island, there's the point sticking out. And then to the left on the map are those other shapes, rectangles, squares, triangles. Those are called other states that are actually habitable. And if you force people, they will go there. And that's what we were doing for many, many years. They were leaving New York for more competitive economic environments. We had to reverse that. How do you start it? You start reversing it by lowering taxes. How do you lower taxes? You lower spending. It's not a difficult equation. It's like losing weight. I need to lose weight. Eat less food and you will lose weight. Got it. Simple equation. Very hard to execute, but the equation is simple. We had to get spending down in the state of New York, and we did. We have spending now down to the lowest annual increases since they've been keeping numbers. Year to year, we haven't gone up more than 2%, and that's allowed us to lower the tax rates, and today, every New Yorker pays a lower tax rate than the day I took office. And that puts the arrow in the right direction. Now, I know the Republicans in the room are confused. A Democrat who reduced spending. It's an oxymoron. Actually not. See, you're stereotyping and you're assuming that there is no Democrat who can actually count. There are Democrats who can count, and I can count. And we had no choice but to get spending down, and we did. And that allowed us to lower taxes. And now, today, in this state, we have 8.2 million private sector jobs, more private sector jobs than have ever existed in the history of the state of New York. And that's good news for all of us. But we had a second change, which is all these states are now in competition. Any business that could come to New York, they're also talking to Texas and North Carolina and California, and everyone is making them offers. So we have to compete with them. And we came up with regional business plans that work for each region. Because we have 10 regions in this state. Buffalo is different than the North Country, is different than Albany, is different than Long Island. And we put together a business plan just for Long Island. The LIA was instrumental in it, that brought academic leaders, government leaders, put them all in the same room, and said, come up with one business plan that we can invest in. And the state has invested in over $6 billion in the Long Island economy to do just that and grow jobs. We started with transportation because it is a major issue on Long Island. We haven't done anything about our transportation infrastructure for decades. Grand Central Parkway, Northern State Parkway, they were built in 1940. Long Island Expressway was built in the 1950s. they now handle quadruple the number of cars. And the commutation has just been impossible. Long Island Railroad, originally built in 1834. Do you know why they built the railroad? Talk about vision and daring. It was from Manhattan to Montauk Point, because at Montauk Point, you could catch a ferry to go to Boston. That's why they built the Long Island Railroad, all the way out just to catch a ferry to go to Boston. That's the guts that our forebears had. Unfortunately, the ferry went bust, but we had the Long Island Railroad. And that then, as a byproduct, brought more and more people to Long Island. But we haven't modernized the Long Island Railroad since. When you hear that report in the morning that says there's a delay on the track, they mean that literally. In some places, there is one track. God forbid a squirrel has a heart attack. We lose millions of dollars, and I like squirrels for the squirrel people here. I don't mean to offend the squirrel people. That's why I said, God forbid the squirrel had a heart attack. We'd all cry. But you have a delay on that track, everything stops. Well, how can it be that we still have one track all these years? We do. Why hasn't it been modernized? Government bureaucracy, it's hard. And then, especially on Long Island, you have that NIMBY attitude on steroids, right? Any shovel in the ground, that's a non-starter. We have to fight back against that. Why? Because if you are not building and you are not growing, then some other region will pass you by. That is the reality of life and the reality of economics. We are in competition with everyone else. So we can't stop just because it's hard. $6.6 billion Long Island renovation. We got it done. It goes from end to end, a new second track, a new third track, new equipment, 39 enhanced stations are being built. We got it done. Why? Because we had to. It allows access into Manhattan. It allows intra-island commerce, which is going to be more and more important, and it's happening now. It also ties into everything else we're doing on transportation. We're building a new train station across from Penn Station, so you don't have to go into Penn Station anymore, which is run by Amtrak, by the way. Don't blame me for Penn Station. I call it the 7 levels of hell. Amtrak doesn't like when I say that, but sometimes the truth hurts. So across the street, we're going to build a brand new train station. We're building a new LaGuardia Airport. We're building a new JFK Airport. We're finally putting in a train to the plane. So you'll be able to take the LIRR to LaGuardia, and you'll be able to take a train from LaGuardia into New York City, which will change the whole transportation dynamic. And then at the same time, we have to develop business on Long Island, because Long Island is an economy in and of itself. First rule is we have to control property taxes. The highest tax in the state, the killer tax, is the property tax. And it was going up 6, 7, 8% every year. I put in the first ever property tax cap that said it can't go up more than 2%. Many of the local governments burned me in effigy, but we had to control property tax because that is the #1 tax. We did that. And now we have to invest in the future economy. And as Kevin said, the future economy, I believe, and more importantly, you believe, is going to be in that life science cluster. Brookhaven, Cold Spring Harbor, Stony Brook. That corridor is, in my opinion, the next research triangle that we had in North Carolina. And we've learned from Silicon Valley, you have to do the academics, you have to do the research and development, but then you have to commercialize it with the private sector. And that's what we're doing. And that's what we're doing faster and better than ever. And that's the growth in jobs. And tonight I'm pleased to announce we're going to make additional investments in that cluster. We're investing $30 million in the Cold Spring Harbor Lab's Neuroscience Research Center, which we believe will be the global leader in neuroscience. We're also investing $30 million to build the Center for Bioelectronic Medicine, partnering with Northwell, and that's going to be at the Feinstein Institute. That will continue to grow and develop our cluster in the life sciences. And I believe that's the future, and that's what's going to be generating more and more jobs. We're also building the new Ronkonkoma hub, the new Nassau hub. We're reinventing downtowns for the new millennials who want walkable communities in Westbury, Hicksville, Ronkonkoma, Wyandanch. We are increasing in the special economic generators, the specialized new economic generators like tourism. We now have 77 wineries and craft beer and alcohol outlets on Long Island. We have the Ryder Cup that is coming back. We have the 101st PGA. We have a $6 billion industry in tourism. And that's growing up, it's up 18% in 5 years, and we need to continue to grow it. And Kevin mentioned a big development that catalyzes other developments, which is a $1 billion investment in Belmont Park, which was a beautiful piece of real estate that just sat there for a lot of years. We'll now have a hotel, an arena, and the islanders coming back to Long Island to add to that regional identification. My last point, and then I'll let you get on with your dinner and your dancing, but I need your help on this. With all the progress we made, reduced taxes, capped property taxes, jobs are up, highest number of jobs, by the way, on Long Island that has ever existed. All the economic arrows are pointed in the right direction. There's one caution flag. The federal government passed a tax bill last December, the Tax Reform Act that the president passed. I don't care what your philosophy is or your opinion on the tax bill itself. There is a provision in that tax bill that is an economic missile aimed at the heart of New York State. And what that is the end of deductibility of state and local taxes. That means right now, you deduct your state income and your property taxes from your federal tax. The new tax bill eliminated that, which means, in essence, you can't do the deduction, which in essence raises your income tax 30% and your property tax 30%. It is a killer for New York and the suburbs. Only 12 states in the nation affected, all Democratic states. But the number one affected state is the state of New York. It reverses all the progress we made. All the tax cap, all the tax reductions are wiped away in one day. Your property taxes go up 30%. It could affect the value of real estate on Long Island. You tell Long Islanders that property tax amount just went up 30%. You can literally change the value of the homes on Long Island. It is the first double taxation in the history of the nation. When Abraham Lincoln passed the first federal income tax, he said when he passed the law, state taxes will be paid first, local taxes will be paid, and then a federal income tax will be levied, because the states existed first. First time ever for a tax on a tax. It'll cost New York overall $16 billion. On average, it will raise people's taxes $6,400 in the downstate suburbs. It has to be stopped. It is illegal and unconstitutional, I believe, and we sued it. We're suing on it. It was the most political use of federal policy I have ever seen, or the greatest coincidence that it's all Democratic states. And New York State already contributes more to the federal government than any other state in the United States of America. We send $48 billion to Washington that we never get back. And this is going to cost us another $16 billion. It would wipe out all our progress, and it would make us structurally less competitive than any other state. Because any other state is just getting the tax cut. We're getting the tax cut with this penalty. It's a political year. I don't care if you're a Democrat. I don't care if you're a Republican. I don't care if you're a communist, you're a socialist, whatever, an atheist. It doesn't matter to me. We are New Yorkers first. And that has to come first. And this tax bill is bad, bad news for New York. It has to be repealed. And Washington is going to have to repeal it. And our senators and our congresspeople are going to have to hear that message loud and clear. This is beyond politics. I don't care what your leader told you you had to do. Your first job is to represent the people of your district and the people of this state, and raising taxes on them is the last thing they should do. We have made too much progress and come too long a distance to allow politics to endanger our future. Long Island has everything going for it. We are doing things we've never done before. We've invested like we've never invested before. And the future is bright. And we're not going to let this slow us down. Thank you, and God bless you. Enjoy the evening.